We're just over 24 hours away from the Eagles' second preseason game of 2019, and with training camp unofficially coming to a close, we are one step closer to football season. But for the 90-man roster, those summer roster cuts are even closer, and that puts even more importance on the remaining 3 preseason matchups. With that in mind, we're going to give you 8 things to look out for in tomorrow's game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And as always, guys, we would love to hear from you down in the comments. Let us know what you're looking out for in tomorrow's game. And don't forget that, of course, we will be hosting a live watch-along stream tomorrow evening starting at 6:30 PM Eastern. I'll be bringing you live commentary and analysis from the game, and you can catch all the action with myself and thousands of Eagles fans, all of whom were in the stream last week. I hope to see you there. Make sure you don't miss out. And as always, for your daily dose of Philadelphia sports content, make sure you go to phillysportsnetwork.com for coverage from myself and all of our writers. Let's kick things off with the running back battle. The Eagles' backfield accounted for just 37 yards on 17 carries last week, which is even dismal by preseason standards, especially when Tennessee combined for 125 yards on the ground. Beyond Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders and Darren Sproles, the running back depth chart can be described as sketchy at best, and the next 3 weeks will be pivotal in establishing how many of those backs remain on the roster. Of course, there's a chance we get an extended look at Miles Sanders, but for guys like Wendell Smallwood, Corey Clement, Josh Adams and Boston Scott, this string of games could well be their last chance to prove themselves deserving of a spot on the final 53. Scott will be playing in his first preseason game as an Eagle after missing last week due to injury, while Smallwood and Adams were underwhelming last week. Corey Clement may well make his return to action, and one big play is likely all it will take to cement his spot on that final roster, but stranger things have happened. Keep a close eye on the ball carriers tomorrow night, who will all have to be sprinting like runaway trains to keep their hopes of sticking with the Eagles alive. Second on my list is something that I really don't feel is getting enough coverage, and that's the case for a 4th tight end. Dallas Goedert won't see another preseason snap this year, Zach Ertz is bound to see minimal action, and Richard Rodgers is still being hampered by injury. It'll be down to Joshua Perkins and recently signed Alex Ellis to make a statement. Perkins has enjoyed a quietly strong summer, but convincing the Eagles to keep a 4th tight end when there are pressing needs for depth at other areas will take a little more than that. Perkins and Ellis could both see a significant amount of action over the next few weeks, but tomorrow's game against Jacksonville will be crucial in establishing a rough pecking order for the remainder of preseason. And if the Eagles do want to run a lot of 12 and 13 personnel, as they seemingly intend to do, keeping a 4th tight end around is certainly favourable, but which of the remaining names on the roster is going to be the guy to step up and say it should be me? Third on our list is something that just simply has to happen. We need signs of life from Clayton Thorson. Going 2 for 9 in your preseason debut isn't exactly the best way to kick off your NFL career, but it's unfortunately become par of the course here. Thorson has struggled all through the spring, and the summer hasn't exactly been much kinder to the 5th round pick. With Nate Sudfeld out of action and it looking unlikely that Wentz will play at all, Kessler and Thorson look poised to take huge chunks of playing time. This is both a blessing and a curse for Thorson. We know Kessler will make the most of it as a game manager and show few reasons to be concerned, but if Thorson remains inaccurate, it hurts everyone else trying to make an impact too, not just him. Just look at a wide open Donnell Pumphrey last week and I'm sure he'll tell you firsthand. Another poor showing here, and it's hard to imagine the Eagles keeping him around. The pressure is well and truly on. Defensive end dominance is something I'll be keeping a keen eye out for after Deshaun Hall blew up last week, and if you somehow missed the explosion, there's a summary of the aftermath on this channel. Josh Sweat appears to hold his own against Taylor Lewan, but the Eagles need to find consistency from their depth edge rushers. Beyond Graham, Curry and Barnett, there still looks to be a steep drop-off, and given the importance of the edge 4 position on this team, that could be problematic in the months that follow. If Sweat can turn in a solid performance, it will certainly lift some pressure from the shoulders of rookie Sharif Miller and underdog Deshaun Hall. But all 3 men, along with Eli Harold, whom the team traded for a few days ago, will need to bring their A-game in Jacksonville. Ronald Darby has worked his way back from injury and into team activities, but will he see any preseason action? And if he doesn't, expect to see a little bit more from Sidney Jones, Rasul Douglas and Avonte Maddox. At least more than we saw last week. Jim Schwartz still has some tricky cornerback related decisions to make, and if any of the aforementioned make a big time play during a game, it may be enough to bump the depth chart just enough to cause a shuffle. There's also a chance we see Avonte Maddox taking reps at safety, so don't be surprised by that. Beyond them, Josh Hawkins and Jeremiah McKinnon both had topsy-turvy games last week, while NAIA star Jay Liggins enjoyed a much more consistent game. If he's earned more playing time, look for the small school sleeper to turn a few heads. At 6'2", he's the tallest corner on the roster and may surprise some doubters if afforded the opportunity. Alex Singleton graded out as the Eagles' best player last week according to Pro Football Focus, but he also played a huge role on special teams. At this point in the proceedings, special teams could be the difference between making the roster and receiving a heartbreaking piece of news when roster cuts arrive. Look for big hits, punt returns, kick returns, blocked field goal attempts, shout out Trayvon Hester, and anything that could give a player an edge over his positional rivals. Talking of Singleton, the linebacker position will of course be an area of focus. Nate Jerry was a little disappointing last Thursday, giving up a touchdown and a little bit too much space in coverage, while LJ Fort balled out and Singleton really grew into the game as it went on. Camu Grugier-Hill is out for a while yet, and Paul Warrilow could be set to play his first competitive snap since 2017. The linebacker position as a whole is in a state of flux right now, and if players like Fort, Singleton, or even TJ Edwards can make a firm impression this week, it's going to play a massive role in shaping the depth chart heading into preseason week 3. And finally, all eyes will be on the offensive line. Andre Dillard was exceptional in his first taste of NFL action, but the week following his debut has been interesting. 2 days, 2 scraps, and an emotional period for the first round pick, who is besting some of the Eagles' most prominent talent and doing so frequently. Tempers are naturally flaring as a result, but the question now is, can Dillard put that behind him and hold up against some of the Jags' tenacious pass rush? That will be his next challenge in the opening quarter or so, and I don't know about you, but I can't wait to see it. Elsewhere, Jordan Mailata played a fairly solid return to action as his NFL resume continues to build, while Matt Pryor had a penalty-plagued nightmare that simply has to be rectified. There has been some trade speculation surrounding Halapoulivaati Vaitai and a Texans pass rusher that I won't mention as of late, and while I think it's unlikely he goes anywhere, especially until Brooks is healthy, it'll be worth watching his transition inside and seeing the progress made. Stefan Wisniewski should also see some significant time at centre, which is great. Wiz has also struggled snapping the ball just like Sayamalo did last offseason and will benefit from as much exposure as he can get before settling in as Jason Kelce's backup. But I want to know what you guys are looking out for in tomorrow night's game. Let me know down in the comments, and of course guys, if you're new around here, leave a like and hit that subscribe button. I cannot wait for tomorrow night's stream, so hopefully I'll see as many of you watching this video there as possible. From myself, Liam Jenkins, I'll see you tomorrow night for the live watch along of the Eagles versus Jaguars preseason game. If I don't see you there, enjoy the game, and I'll see you Friday.